Yeah, the Rams could lose to the Jets.
Come on, offense.
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the December 18th, 2024 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word. KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Bench the app. Don't take a zero. Don't get a goose egg on your fantasy team because you left a non-starting player on your starting roster. Download Bench the app today and make that a thing of the past. All right. A lot of stuff to talk about today. Rams going to the Jets. Weather's going to play a part where everyone's going to want to talk about trap game nonsense. Week 17, the game against the Arizona Cardinals has been flexed to Saturday night. All sorts of stuff like that going on. People talking about what's the Rams' best path to the Super Bowl. Tyler Higbee is back. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on around the NFL. But what I wanted to address just before we get to the Ram stuff, I left my phone across the other side of the room too. And every time I leave the phone on the other side of the room, Cronky is always calling me and asking for my thoughts. So if you hear the phone ring, let me know because I'm not going to get up and answer it. Okay. Real quick here. Again, I heard more push this week. Some people were asking me, not that my opinion matters that much. What do you think about an 18-game season? 18-game season makes more sense than a 17-game season. I think a 16-game season is perfect, but an 18-game season, fine, if the players get a second bye, right? A second bye week, and that helps the NFL because that just extends everything into what? Now definitely into mid-February, right? So yeah, 18 games, another bye week, that's cool. Third week of February, I think it will work to President's Day weekend. That's a long time. But players union, I'm telling you, the players union's not your friend. Never should have bent and moved off of 16 games, right? But everyone's after the moo, and you don't think about the big moo. No one thinks about what it costs. So I'll live with 18 games because I think it should be an even number with a second bye. Get rid of, narrow down preseason to 2 games. Or, well, that was one of the options. I'd say narrow it down to 1 and get the season started. And then when we go to 18 games, little sidebar tangent here, can we shut up all the KBM talking about with all the statistics, teams that start off 0-2. Yeah, 0-2 in a 14-game season is a lot different than 0-2 in an 18-game season. So anyway, the part I did not like or wouldn't abide by is I don't want to see the playoffs expanded. Because the playoffs are, 14 teams right now, 7 in each conference, 14 out of 32. It makes the regular season matter that much more. You're not the frickin' NBA who didn't even want to watch its mid-season tournament that no one can care about, or the only way you can follow it is that the court looks really silly and, that must be a tournament game, right? No one cares. Don't add another playoff team. And also don't eliminate the home field advantage, best record, so you get that first round bye. Teams have earned that. It makes playing the regular season important. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't add another playoff team. Don't eliminate the first round bye. I'm fine with there not being 2 first round byes for the 2 top teams, but definitely make it so that only the team with the best record in each conference gets a bye. They've earned it. Regular season matters. We've been talking regular season. I was just on with Bill here on the chat group before we clicked live. He said another most important game of the season, and it's true. The Rams have been playing the most important game of the season for the last 5 weeks now. These are all important games. Buffalo in Detroit wasn't just an exhibition. It was an important game. These games matter. Philly, who's going to win the East, Philly needs to keep on winning, and they're playing the Texans this week. These games matter, right? And so yeah, there's some things. It's inevitable. It's going to go to 18 games. It's going to happen. You get a second bye in there, eliminate a preseason game, cool, but do not expand the playoffs. All right, cool. Hey, guys, Week 17's Ram game against Arizona has been flipped from Sunday to Saturday night, 5:15. I don't like it. I think it should be on Sunday night, the Sunday night game. Take the Falcons and the Texans and put that boring game that's going to be played on Sunday night, play that on Saturday night. You've already got a dog with the Chargers-Patriots. You got a semi-interesting game between the Broncos and Bengals on Saturday. Finish it with the Falcons and the Texans. Leave the Rams and Cardinals in a game that will definitely matter. Leave that on Sunday night, the primetime slot on Sunday night. Also, don't make them compete with anything else. Sunday night belongs to the NFL. It should belong to the Rams and Cardinals. And I don't like anything messing with the order of things. Now, of course, this is in the flex zone, so teams were aware this could happen. But Rams Cardinals, man, I don't want the Rams playing on a semi-short week when they could be playing to wrap up the division, or they could be playing to stay alive, because you lose in New York, and you've already lost once to the Cardinals. I know it's at home, and against the Cardinals, you may have a home field advantage, but this makes things risky, and I wouldn't want anything upsetting that. The KBM is starting to make a big deal about the cold weather in New York, saying it's going to be about 25 degrees. And I've seen multiple sites talk about how in the McVay era, Rams playing in games, less than 32 degrees at freezing, or 30 degrees, someplace in there, 25 degrees. The Rams are 1-3. And then they actually posted the games the Rams played, which I appreciated. But any Ram fan could look at that list and say, okay, the Rams have played 4 times. They've lost 3 times. 2 of those games were against the Packers. One was in 2022, where the Rams were a mash unit. The Rams were even worse than going through more injuries than the Detroit Lions are right now in 2022. You throw that game out. And in the 2021 playoffs, the week after winning in Seattle, Aaron Donald was hurt, Cooper Kupp was out, and Jared Goff was playing his last Ram game with a mangled thumb, right? That was that 32-18 playoff game after winning the wild card game in Seattle. Throw it out too. The other 2 games, there was that awful Sunday night loss in Chicago in 2018 where they lost 15-6. Yeah, it was an awful game to watch. And it was a win in Denver that same season. So this weather business is being overdone. It's just to create drama. There's a reason to be concerned about the Jets, and it's not because of the weather, and it's not because it's a trap game. Matthew Stafford spent the best part of his career playing outdoors in Green Bay and Chicago, as well as other places in the NFL. If the Rams lose to New York on Sunday, it'll be because they suck, not because of the weather. It'll be because they suck and not because it's a trap game. Also seeing, again, multiple things in media right now, because I was searching for an injury report. I haven't seen any updates on any Ram injuries coming out of the game against Frisco. But I thought it was interesting. Clearest path to the playoffs, what the Rams need to do. I don't even know if you need to write that story. Rams need to finish 11-6, right? You finish 11-6, it's over. You're going to the playoffs. You won your division. Just finish. It's a winnable game. All 3 of these games are winnable. All 3 of the games teams of the Rams are facing, the Jets, the Cardinals, Seahawks, all have issues. 2 of those games are at home. Clearest path. Just win out. That's all it is. It doesn't need to be broken down. Question for me is, will the Rams play with 4 active tight ends, right? Hunter Long, Colby Parkinson, who they gave the contract to, Davis Allen, who's been getting most of the snaps the back half of the season. My guess is if they inactivate somebody, it would be Hunter Long, but all these guys have been playing a part, and I'm just curious. I don't think Higgins going to get a lot of snaps, right? Maybe he's activated, doesn't dress. Maybe he's activated, plays a handful of snaps. I'm just kind of curious to see how the Rams are going to handle that and who they deactivate going forward. Another player to keep an eye on in terms of that is Emmanuel Forbes. When do we see that? Because Jets are going to run Devontae Adams, who had his breakout game last week, and Garrett Wilson, right? And those are two. If Devontae Adams plays like he did last week, that's two elite all-pro receivers the Rams are going to be going against. For the record, Nick Hampton, we talked about, he's on the IR for the rest of the season. Rams have signed former Tennessee Titan draft pick outside linebacker Rashad Weaver to the practice squad. Again, looking at the offensive line, because it bears mentioning, another week, same offensive line, no news on anything changing. Alaric Jackson, Steve Avila, Bo Limmer, Kevin Dotson, and Rob Havenstein. Dotson has played the most snaps, if not all the snaps, at right guard this year, 914 snaps. He joins Matthew Stafford on the offense, playing all 1,914 offensive snaps. Do you know who the third highest player on the offense is that has the third most snaps on the offense this year? Think about that. You got Dotson and Stafford, who played 914 snaps, and I believe that's all the offensive snaps. Do you know who's third with 807 snaps? A sixth-round pick out of Arkansas named Bo Limmer, right? PFF keeps downgrading him every week. He went from 19th ranked center to he's the 28th ranked center, but the Rams offensive line has gotten better each week, and he's been there at center each one of those weeks, and he's played 807 snaps. You get 807 snaps out of a sixth-round rookie center, something's pretty special. Maybe the offensive line coach should get like a little something extra in his stocking. If Stan Kroenke calls me, I'll be sure to let him know about that. And just the experience the kid's getting. Let's say Jonah Jackson develops. Jonah Jackson's physically more talented. Let's just say it's all good next year, but now you got Bo Limmer on a rookie contract for another 3 seasons with a lot of experience, more depth along that line. Right? This is really good. Justin Dedich played a lot of snaps this year. Undrafted free agent. Rams control him for a long time. A lot of depth on that offensive line. So these are all good things. Warren McClendon played a lot of snaps. So this is a good thing for the Rams. I can't talk about it enough. All right, let's take a look at the board here, see who chimed in. Bill, I want to thank you for joining me. It was fun to chat with you before we started the show. Let's see. Bill says, I'm surprised the Rams didn't sign another edge rusher to take the place of Hampton after they cut Hunter Long. I believe the Rashad Weaver signing, I believe he is that guy. I believe he is. I could be wrong. And maybe, Brennan Jackson is a guy that's going to get some more activity. It'll be interesting to see. Tim Burns, I like that we can make the playoffs winning our division games. We need to punk the Jets. Yes, you need to punk the Jets. Absolutely. Need to slam them down. Don't give them any hope and just come out and play hard, right? And that's why I don't think it should be a trap game. It's just, you can't look at it like a trap game. This game's highly critical. You biff this game against the Jets and you biff it somehow against the Cardinals, everything you've done the last, 10 games, it's over, right? Absolutely. Tribe, Pastor Joe. Okay, Tribe, thank you for clicking on. I appreciate you being here. Tim Burns, CBS is showing Rams Jets in over 80% of the markets. Nice. Yeah, that's a big one, huh? That's a big one. Hey, note to fans, my day job, I think you guys know I work in the morning on the West Coast. So has Steeler fan Rob learned a couple years ago? He texted me a score in the middle of one of my messages from the pulpit, and I didn't know who it was. I thought it was an emergency. I looked at it, and I knew the score of a Ram game that I was recording. I put him all over social media and labeled him as a bum. Maybe some of you saw that. Please, no reaching out to me at all. If any of you have ways to contact me, no reaching out this Sunday. I'll be watching the game on delay, hoping I don't hear from anybody. Okay, Tim Burns, I say if Higbee plays, he goes 4 quarters, 60 minutes. Oh, really? Is that what you think? Is that what that is? 4 quarters, 60 minutes there, Mr. Burns? I don't know. I hope so. I mean, that would be cool to see it. All right. Tim Burns, Higbee plus kick butt football attitude is back, needed for the playoff run. Absolutely. Also, he takes the Rams 38-28 over the Jets. 25-degree weather. I don't know if there's going to be snow, but man, that sounds like a kind of an elevated score there, right? Now, what I would like for Christmas, since this will be Christmas Sunday, this is the Sunday before Christmas, I just like a game that's not decided in the last 5 minutes that the Rams are up by 3 touchdowns and it's over, right? And so, see a Trevor Siemian playing for the Jets or whoever's the backup these days. But I don't know. I'm going to give my score prediction on Friday. I see the Rams winning, but I don't think it's going to be a duck walk, as I've been posting around. Tribe, I can't believe they flexed us to Saturday night next week. Has to be a record for us. Primetime games in one season. I do not know, but I just wish I wish that game was on Sunday night. I think the Rams Cardinals is going to be more critical than the Falcons game. I just do. I think it's going to be far more critical than the Falcons Taxkins. Is that who it is? Yeah, I think it's going to be far more critical for us. Let's see. Tim Burns, Jameis, Juju, Kyron gets 2 touchdowns and 100 yards. Hope so. I'm going to break that down for you on the back half of the show about what the Jets defense has been doing. USA expat, there are a lot of ways to run the ball in New York without Williams getting another 29 carries. Yes. And I think they'll be creative. We've seen the Rams. We've seen McVay creative in the run game. Tim Burns, who is more likely to go 3-0 down the stretch? Rams, Seattle, or Arizona? That's a great question. If you want to get into it right now, Seattle has the Vikings, Bears, and Rams. So I think they go 2-1 or 1-2. Cardinals have Panthers, Rams, 49ers. Panthers aren't a pushover right now. Panthers are not a pushover. I think if something happens, Kyler wakes up in a bad mood, something could be interesting there. Let's see. USA expat, ultra quick short passes are almost the same as a run too. Absolutely. And I think they've been talking about that, those little slip screens and everything. Steve Ramirez, a historical reference on games matter. In 1969, the Rams started 11-0 and then lost 3 in a row. Absolutely. Rams knew they would be in the playoffs and at Minnesota. That's interesting. Yeah, because it was all preset in those days, right, Steve? Yeah. I learned about that 69 season when I read Roman Gabriel's book. Yeah, that must have been heartbreaking. I didn't have to live through that. Onene Vangasham. I remember D. Williams giving glory to God after the game against the 49ers in the interview on ESPN. To God be the glory. Hey, absolutely. You know what I like about athletes when they do that? To me, it's not necessarily about the win and the loss. It's about recognizing, I spent a good time of my younger years in my marriage with a sick child going to Children's Hospital. And every day you leave Children's Hospital, you're grateful for every little bit of health you have, right? And that's a great reason to praise God. Let's see. I'm lost. Okay, Tim Burns. Funny how much slobbering the media is doing about the Rams all of a sudden. The TV change is odd, huh? Well, I think they were expected. But from Sunday to Saturday, I think that kind of sucks. And of course, yeah, they're always gonna slobber over the Rams. KBM's always late to the party with the Rams. Micah Gutierrez, if going to the Cardinals game, I'm going to the Cardinals game and bringing some friends who have never been to a game before. Man, I hope they're Ram fans. You don't want to bring any bad mojo into the house. Be careful with that, Micah. USA expat, Forbes needed an Arizona game to help cover Harrison. I'd like to see Forbes on the field this week when you got Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams playing. After that game Devontae Adams had last week, I'd like to see if he's got something to give us this week, USA expat. Let's see. Tim Burns, Jameis Juju, 3rd game in a row without a sack. Hopefully. Onene, our Rams is full strength now. It's bound to take care of business. Super Bowl 59 bound. I hope so. USA expat, fake news, PFF. Yeah, it's getting there. I used to really appreciate PFF, but man, they're kind of suspect in some of the stuff they do. Onene Vagasham, our corners are covered now. Don't worry. All right. I'm listening to you, Onene. Manuel Vasquez, Jets are a good team on paper. They just don't have the right coach. Yeah. And I don't think they got the right leadership either, Manuel. But they're more than capable of beating the Rams if taken for granted. Absolutely. And that's my flow tonight, is that I'm saying you can't take them lightly. Tim Burns, our scouting team under McVay needs some flowers year after year. We get snaps and greatness out of late rounders. There you go. You got it, right? You got it. Ben Skoranek is, I think, playing in Pittsburgh right now. Ben Skoranek was taking serious snaps in Super Bowl 56, right? The scouting department's been fantastic. ESG, Rams have a chance of ending each of our division rivals' season. We already did it to the 49ers. Yeah, isn't that sweet? Isn't that sweet? I agree with ESG. That's a great feeling. DHP, good to hear from you, man. What is going on with Jonah Jackson? Will he be traded or released? He's making too much coin to be released, and there's too much of it guaranteed. My feeling is he's a backup right now throughout the rest of the season because they're not going to mess with this vibe. Do they have a mutual parting of the ways or something in the offseason? I doubt it because of the contract. But again, everything's kind of flexible. You never know. My feeling is, again, as I think I said it the last week, was he was out in August. Remember, he was out first week of August, came back, played a couple games, and went out again. He's just been out of rhythm all year. Heals up this year, comes back, competes for the starting job at center, I guess, next year. And if he gets it physically, he's really gifted. He's an NFL guy. If he's ready to play and he's healthy, great. You plug him in. And then if not, you put in your 6th round guy that carried you to the playoffs this year. There you go. Let's see. Micah Gutierrez, I'll be working at church during the game too. I'll find out the score at about 12:30. All right, man, we're good. So Rams swept the Niners. Hello, Joe T. Great show. Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for clicking on. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. But thank you, man. I appreciate that. Tim Burns, 4 receptions, 60 yards for Higbee. Are you working for a Kistler Law mug? Is that what you're working for, Mr. Burns? 4 receptions, 60 yards. You don't even need the TD, and I'll send you that mug. DHP, I am worried about the Jets. The Rams keep losing in primetime games. Yeah, and you know what? Games, I'm not saying this is a game the Rams have to win. The Jets are 4-10. They've really beat nobody of significance except the Houston Texans. It feels like it should be a layup game. If not a layup game, it's a game the Rams should win. But we've seen what the Rams have done this year, right? They have a tendency to major in the minor and minor in the major. And so they leave hope for these teams, and they keep us on our feet, chewing our nails, throwing things in the RamCave to the last 30 seconds of almost every game. Steeler fan Rob, what time is that Jets game? Laugh out loud. Oh, yeah, sure, Steeler fan Rob. ESG, if NFL decides to go to an 18-game season, 0-3 won't be at that sentence. Absolutely, right? Absolutely. I thought it was too much this year. Everyone was going crazy. Tim Burns, it's up to Micah to create new Rams fans. Okay, you convert them. Rams sweep Niners. The channel is growing. Yes, we have. Thank you so much for your support. Manuel Vasquez, 25 degrees at game time. No snow expected. Clear day. Thankfully, that field already a bad one. Oh, good report there, Manuel. Thank you so much. Onane Vangasan, thank you, Pastor Joe, for listening to me. Hey, no problem, man. I think it's just kind of something we've gone into here. I don't do too many graphics because I don't know how to do graphics, right? Graphics to me would just be holding up my hands and saying, look at some notes I made. So it's about you guys chiming in and us talking. Let's see here. Steeler fan Rob, Skoranek is playing great for us. He is. To the Texans' disappointment. We sent him to the Texans, and they got rid of him, and I think they wish they had him back. Skoranek's a good, solid player. 7th-round pick. 250th player taken, and he's getting snaps for 251, 249, someplace in there, and he's getting snaps in the Super Bowl. Made 2 catches. I mean, yeah, he had to go because there was no room for Skoranek with, Tyler Johnson, with Whittington. They drafted Whittington, all these guys. There was no room for him, so they made a move, got him out, picked up a draft pick for him. So good work. All right, around the NFL and other places, Falcons bench Kirk Cousins. It's hard to avoid. You get it. It was coming. Raider baiting shouldn't have been that close. I'm sorry because if you saw Kirk Cousins at the end of the Falcons-Viking game and you just saw how the Viking players stood in line just to say, he's a good man. There are a lot of good dudes, though, that have their career kind of start to wind down. And, yeah, it just started to wind down. And I thought was it Dan Orlovsky who called the game, the second game on Monday night for the ESPN? I thought he made some great points about how he was late on a lot of things. Maybe he's in a slump. Quarterbacks do go into slumps sometimes. It happens. You're not reading everything right. You kind of lose some confidence. and you're hesitant, a lot of the double pumping, clutching the ball instead of just letting it rip. Hopefully for his sake, it's not over, but anxious to see what Michael Penix does, right? Raider game again shouldn't have been that close. Mason Rudolph is replacing Will Levis for the Titans. Not that that's earth-shattering to us out here on the coast, but it does mean Will Levis will likely – they'll be moving on. You don't bench Will Levis for Mason Rudolph unless you're thinking, okay, we've seen everything we can see with Will Levis. We're not even going to develop him anymore. We're back in the market, right? We took a third-round chance on Malik Willis. Didn't work out in Tennessee. He's kind of prospering as a backup in Green Bay. Used a second-round pick on Will Levis, and now we'll see what they do going forward. Cardinals extended Budda Baker, safety, to a 3-year extension. 18 rocks a year. I think ultimately it's a 54 rock contract, and I don't know how they're going to break it down, but that's a lot of bread for a safety with some mileage. It's too much, so I'm thrilled. I don't see investing at the safety level. Now, Rams are going to come to a huge issue here at the end of this season and going into next season because Quinton Lake is going to be in his last year of his contract next year, and he's got to get paid. And I like Quinton Lake because he does so many other things. I just don't want to see him go, but 18 rocks. Now, Steeler fan Rob loves to pay safeties big money. The 49ers love to pay safeties big money and play. I don't think you should pay safeties big money, right? Rams have been competitive in 2 Super Bowls by not paying safeties big money. They're not paying Cam Curl big money, right? But when I look at what they did there in Arizona, they've got a good team. Jonathan Cannon's doing really good. They had a great draft. They're a team that's not going to go away. This isn't just a 1 year up and then they're gone. They're going to be around for a while. Their biggest hang-up is Kyler Murray, to me. But that's something to think about because it got me thinking about the 49ers. Everyone's talking about Brock Purdy and his contract, and they're saying his agent wants 55 rocks or more. And how do they pay him? And here's the thing. How do you do a teardown? How do you do a teardown in Frisco right now when you've got so much money invested in Trent Williams, who's gone for the rest of the season? You just re-upped him. You just upped Brandon Ayuk. You still owe Deebo Samuel some money for another year. You've got big money invested in Bosa. You got a lot of issues there. So how do you just do a teardown? When the Rams did their teardown after 2022 going into 2023, it weren't those kind of numbers, and their quarterback spot was solidified. So there's some real trouble here for Frisco, and I'm glad the Cardinals spent 54 rocks on Budda Baker. I think he's really good. I just wouldn't spend that much. And I'm curious about what the Rams are going to do with Quinton Lake. Lions put Carlton Davis on the IR. He joins Aleem McNeil. Both got hurt on Sunday against the Bills. Raiders put Max Crosby on IR with an ankle injury. I think with Crosby, with his motor, he's really hurt, which, again, hope it's not too serious, but that's not a bad deal. If I'm the Raiders, I don't want Crosby putting more tread on his tires playing the rest of this season. Eagles designate Bryce Huff to return, the former Jet, and I'm sure they're excited about that. It feels like they're getting stronger as the playoff push comes. 49ers are expected to shut down Trent Williams. Isaac Guerrero, their 4th running back, now has a hamstring issue. Dre Greenlaw's hurt again. All sorts of issues going on there in Frisco. And keeping an eye on Seattle. Geno Smith was a full participant in practice today, but he's banged up. Zach Charbonnet was banged up. They've got issues there. So you want to keep track of that Seahawk injury report as we build towards week 18. Jets have signed Zach Evans to the practice squad. And I don't know if he's going to tell them anything about the Rams. What can he tell them about the Rams? No one has signed Zach Evans. Rams put Zach Evans in the street in the final cut back in August, and no one has signed him. No one picked him up for the practice squad. So all of a sudden now we get to week 16 and the Jets sign him, and they think he's got something, right? Chiefs put Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the street on Monday. Was it today? Clyde Edwards-Helaire signed with the Saints. And then finally, before we look at some playoff stuff, what did you guys think of the Vikings all-white scheme? If I was a Viking fan, I thought it was a joke. The Vikings are purple. The Vikings are purple, and you don't do something that's all white where you can't see the horns, you can't see anything. I thought it was atrocious. I thought it was terrible. I'd be screaming for someone. The person that probably did the marketing on that is probably the person that did the Bud Light stuff with that dude. It's like, what are you thinking, man? What are you thinking? Get a hold of yourself. You're the Vikings. You're the purple people eaters, and you come out in white. Help me. Anyway, thought I'd get that stuff out there. Let's before we get to playoff stuff, let's look at some of the questions that have come in. Micah Gutierrez, all the friends I'm bringing are brand new Ram fans and are about to be Ram fans. You disciple them into the faith there, Mr. Gutierrez. Steve Ramirez, I think the last time the Rams played at the Jets, the Rams won 9-3. Wow. All I know was at the 2020 game, Jets were winless. They came to SoFi and they won that game. Oh, that was the game where you just knew McVay had no confidence in Goff. None. That was as gross a game. And then they ended up ranking the playoffs after that. That was so funny. Steve Ramirez, Rich Gannon said Cousins can't drive the ball downfield, which could be because of the injury. Oh, okay. That's a great point there, Steve. Tim Burns, you and I talked Knicks all off season. Sad for Cousins, but Knicks can be the next Lamar. You're thinking, are you talking Penix or Bo Nix being the next Lamar? I'm not sure on that one, Mr. Burns. Correct me. Michael Negretti, it's time for the Rams to put Aaron Rodgers into retirement. Break a leg, man bun. Okay. I don't know if I want to hurt anybody. I saw the Rams break Lynn Dickey's leg. I saw Jim Youngblood give Tommy Kramer the scariest concussion I'd ever seen in history. If anyone's an old Ram fan and saw what happened to Tommy Kramer, talk about fencing. I don't know if I want to see Aaron Rodgers mangled, maybe mangled for 4 quarters, but still able to get up and, do his ayahuasca. There we go. Tim Burns, Caitlin Clark took a knee to the woke United Methodist. So I'm glad I chose the Cam Brink jersey. Okay. Here's about Caitlin Clark. She's never going to make anybody happy. This is why you don't capitulate. This is why I always come back, and very seldom do I say in a national context when somebody is offended, never say you're sorry, because it's never going to be enough. It's never going to be enough. It's just blood in the water. Let's see. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, it's pronounced Brandon Ayuk. What did I say? Ayuk? Or I guess I said Ayuk. Okay. Brandon Ayuk. I thought it was a bad contract, and it's marvelous that the 49ers gave it to him. USA Expat, Niners built new stadium on a landfill dump. Now they play like it. So how happy are you all going to be, right? How happy are you all going to be if the 49ers go, 6-11 next year, right? That's a possibility, right? If these players don't get healthy, they start off fast. People are going to say the Niners are back. They're going to talk about the gold rush, pass rush, and everything. And then 2 months into the season, you're still getting hurt. Trent Williams hurt again, right? Pretty interesting. Michael Negretti, the Vikings white uniform sucked. Okay, so I'm not the only one. There we go. All right. Coaches to keep an eye on: Brian Daboll, Doug Peterson, Gerard Mayo. I think Mike McCarthy, he's hoping to get fired or hoping the season's going to end. Somebody might want to hire Mike McCarthy. Chicago should hire Mike McCarthy. Call me crazy. And Nick Sirianni. Can you imagine Nick Sirianni? This is why I don't trust Philly. Steeler fan Rob's on my case saying I should trust Philly because, of course, he's all up on them because they beat the Steelers. But I don't trust Philly. I'm not going to trust them until they win the Super Bowl. All right. Lions 12-2, Eagles 12-2, Tampa Bay 8-6, Rams 8-6. From the playoff teams, the how could I say this? The wild card teams 12-2, Packers 10-4, and Texans 9-5. If the playoffs were to start now, the Vikings would come to SoFi. I think the Rams could beat them. They beat them once before, and if they're wearing those white uniforms, they'll crush them. There you go. Lions, everyone's worried about the Lions. They close with the Bears, 49ers, and Vikings. So I think even with all their issues, they could still finish 14-3. They can lose to the Vikings in week 18, but they have enough on the field right now to beat the Bears. They have enough on the field right now offensively also to beat the 49ers. So I know a lot of people are projecting the Lions losing all their games and coming down into a wild card spot. I just don't see it based on how the 49ers are playing, based on how the Bears are playing. Eagles get the Texans this week. They get the Cowboys the week after that, and the Cowboys have not rolled over and died. And then, they get Mercer of the NFL. They get the Giants in week 18. Tampa Bay gets the Cowboys. I think that could be a tough game. I'm leaning Tampa. Panthers have showed some spunk. So have the Saints. It'll be interesting to see how the Saints play in Green Bay this week, given that loss to the Texans really crushed their season. And they were just a 2-point conversion away, right? Of course, Rams, Jets, Cardinals, Seahawks, and the like. And then the Vikings get the Seahawks, Packers, and Lions. Vikings got a tough road there. You have to go to Lumen Field, even though the Seahawks are beaten up. That's still a tough place to win. So that could go either way. But then you got to play the Packers and the Lions. And so it's not an easy road there for the Vikings. Packers have the Saints, the Vikings, and the Bears. So there you go. All right, let's look at what the Rams need. Bottom line, they need to beat the Jets. Bottom line. It helps if Philly beats the Texans in case there's some disaster that happens. It would be great if the Vikings beat the Seahawks. Right now, Smith looks like he's questionable, but he's out there practicing. Panthers beat the Cardinals. That would help the Rams. And, of course, if the Dolphins beat the 49ers. If all those things happen, the Rams would be going into week 17, 9-6. Seahawks would be 8-7. Cardinals would be 7-8. And the advantage to that would be that Cardinal game, the Cardinals would be pretty much done if they fall to 7-8. They would be pretty much done because, they couldn't catch the Rams. They could get 2 wins against the Rams, but they wouldn't be able to catch them because then they'd be 8-8. And so there we go. Rams remaining schedule. Jets have 4 wins. Cardinals have 7 wins. Seahawks have 8 wins. Chiefs, it looks like right now they showed Mahomes practicing. I think the Chiefs are cruising for the bruising. I'm taking the Texans in that game. Bills get the Patriots. That's a good game for them. Steelers get the Ravens. Just this rough part of the schedule, how the Steelers close out the season. Ravens, Chiefs, and Bengals. None of that is going to be easy. Neither for the Texans. The Texans get the Chiefs, the Ravens, and then they get the Titans. So a lot of stuff there going on. Broncos, Chargers tomorrow night. I'm not rooting for the Chargers. I don't expect the Chargers to win, but I'm kind of, if everything was equal and there was no Spanos involvement, I would lean Chargers in that game. I think the Broncos, young team, I think they're just cruising for a bruising. All right, let's see here. Let's look at the Rams Jets real quick. Let's see. Let's look at a couple questions here. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Tim Burns, Joe T. Isn't Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light fan? I don't know if he is anymore. There you go. Tried. Joe, I got Philly Packers. Us top 3 right now. Ooh, you really think so? You think we're there? I think we can be there. We could be there. It's just the consistency. I hope so. Michael Negretti, the Rams game against the Cardinals has been flexed to Saturday night. Yep, we got that one out. Tim Burns, I mixed Knicks and Penix for the millionth time. It's okay. I can't pronounce Brandon Ayuk. So you're okay. You're cool, Mr. Burns. Manuel Vasquez, I'm hoping the Vikings win out to drop Detroit to 5th seed, and they would have to come to SoFi to play the Rams. Actually, I want to see I want to see Detroit win out. I want the Rams to have to go to Detroit to win the NFC title game. If it comes down to that, what a great move for Stafford to go back there and win. I don't know. I think the Lions could finish 14-3, but I think they could be bounced in the divisional round. They're just too banged up. Just too banged up. Okay, guys, keep firing your questions. Let's look at the Jets right now. Jets are 4-10. They were projected by Vegas to win 9.5 games this year. They were projected for 9 wins. Let's round it up, 10 wins. And again, we're taking our shots at PFF. Last year, the Vegas projected the Rams to win 4.5 games. But if you came and listened to RamView, we were saying the Rams could win 8 games last year. High end, they could win 10. And the Rams did win 10. So Vegas doesn't know. They don't know either all the time. Jets are 4-10, projected to win 10. That's where they're at. Aaron Rodgers, he's Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully he can't do it 2 weeks in a row, Hopefully he doesn't want to play in the cold. But if he's spinning it right and he's got Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, yeah, there could be some trouble there. Breece Hall is the running back, but he's got a tender knee. Braylon Allen has been really solid as a backup, a compliment to him, but he's got a bad back right now, so there is problems there. Along the offensive line, they would grade the PFF would grade the Jets' offensive line better than the Rams. Olam Fashanu, the kid out of Penn State, has taken over at left tackle. Tyron Smith has been out. He's played solid. John Simpson at left guard has been solid. Joe Tippmann at center. Elijah Vera Tucker, the former USC guy, is actually playing well. And Morgan Moses has been taking his act out there, the former Raven. So they've been fair. They've been good. But this, again, this is not the Eagles offensive line. This is not the Detroit offensive line. This is an offensive line the Rams should be able to get a push on, right? On defense, Quinnen Williams, interior lineman's having a great year, 7 sacks, but he's got a hamstring issue. Will McDonald has 10 sacks, Michael Clemens 4 sacks. Hassan Reddick, who finally came back about 7 games ago, has only got 2 sacks. He's had none in the last 5 games, just 1 hit all season on the quarterback. He's got 6 hurries in the last 5 games. And they've got Sauce Gardner at corner. So it's a defense that's vulnerable. There's talent there, but it's vulnerable. But these were a couple of the things I was looking at. The Jets' Breece Hall, who's banged up right now a little bit, he's only rushed for 100 yards once this season, and that was against Buffalo in Week 6. Defensively, the Jets have only allowed rushers more than 100 yards 3 times. Jordan Mason in Week 1 for the 49ers, when they were healthy, ran for 147 yards. Steeler fan Rob's guy, Najee Harris with the Steelers, he ran for over, I think, 122 yards in Week 7 against the Jets. And in Week 9, Joe Mixon had a big game against the Jets, I think 112. But since that time, no one has rushed for over 65 yards against the Jets in the last 5 weeks. Also, something to think about, while the Jets only have wins against the Titans, the Patriots, and Jacksonville, all, as Steve Hartman would say, alleged NFL teams, their one win was against Houston, but we know Houston struggled this year, right? So that's the only meaningful win they've got. But here's the one that I look at because it matters, because we notice it with the Rams. The Jets have lost 6 games by 1 possession. 1 possession. That means they were within a touchdown of all these losses. 6 times they've lost. If they had just split those, right? If they had just split those, they would be 7-7. So, as Tony Montana said, that's no duck walk, man. It's not going to be a duck walk. It's a game the Rams should win. I mean, we all know they have to win. It's a game they should win, but it's not set up to be an easy win. And then 25-degree weather. While I don't think that should be an issue, all these things have an effect. And as of right now, we got our weather report: no snow, clear sky, and at least it's in the daylight. Not it's 1 p.m. New York time, not 4 p.m. New York time, where it gets colder and maybe the wind picks up. So I take solace in the fact that that Matthew Stafford played in the NFC North for 13 years. So or 12 years, 13 years he played there. So he's got experience playing outside. And Cooper Kupp played up in Washington, Eastern Washington. So all these things, I don't know if these things are going to be issues. Kyron Williams played at Notre Dame, right? Havenstein's a Wisconsin kid. Alaric Jackson is an Iowa kid, right? So you know who all these guys are. Kevin Dotson played in Pittsburgh. So they're all used to playing in the cold. Avila might be a little questionable there. But I'll give my prediction for the Ram game on Friday. I do like the Rams to win the game. I'm not sure how much they're going to win by. I might disagree with Mr. Burns, who says Rams 38-28. If it is, please. And let that 28th point by the Jets be scored in the last 3 seconds, just so we can relax and chill and digest our food, right? All right. There we go. Let's see here. Let's see. Michael Gutierrez. Apparently, there were a lot of Rams fans at the Meadowlands last year versus the Giants, hoping for the same, if not more, on Sunday. Yeah, I hope so. probably a lot of angry Jet fans, right? Who just want to see the worst happen to their team so they get a better draft pick. Onene Vagasam, we should finish off our season 11-6. We're on fire right now. We can't be stopped. Look at what we did to Buffalo Bills on our offense, and look what we did to the 49ers on our defense. We are complete. I think we have the potential to be complete. I think it's all there. It's just consistency. And I'm not upset about the offense not scoring a touchdown against the 49ers because that's a rivalry game. It's an interdivision game. It was a playoff life game. So that was going to be a gritty game. And then, of course, you did have the wet weather coming in there. But the Rams have been inconsistent. And so that's the part where I struggle with. ESG, they have Sirianni wearing a Hannibal Lecter mask. They are so scared of him and his tendency to be a bonehead and cost them a chance at the championship. Yeah, there's just issues there. There's just issues there in Philly. There always are issues in Philly. And I know everyone's in bed with Philly right now. Oh, Philly's my guy. They're my guys. I don't know. I don't trust them in the NFC. I don't trust them if they were in the Super Bowl. And you know what? I don't trust them to do what they did to the Rams a few weeks ago if they face the Rams again in the playoffs. I just don't. Could they? Absolutely. Could they run the table? For sure. But do you trust them? I don't trust them at all. Mikey Gutierrez, even with Breece Hall injury, limiting him would be a nice moral boost for our run defense. Just shut him down, man. Just shut him down. I agree. For what it's worth, ESG, Adams almost had 200 yards receiving. Granted, it was against Jacksonville. Yeah. And that's where you look at the Jets and you say, they haven't beat anybody, right? Titans, Patriots, Jacksonville. Houston, okay, we'll give that to you. But they haven't beaten anybody of serious nature this year. Manuel Vasquez, Rodgers is coming off back-to-back good games. He's thrown for 600-plus yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Good homework, man. So hopefully he doesn't continue that. Yes. Steve Ramirez, I think Rams 20-13. Yeah, I lean that way myself, a little more towards that end of it, Mr. Ramirez. I do. And what I was hoping for in the Jacksonville game is that if the Jags could have held on and won that game just to make the Jets just a little more demoralized. I don't want them breathing any fresh air thinking, hey, let's close out this season strong. You know, I don't want any of that stuff, right? Onene Vagasam, you will see, Pastor Joe. Just enjoy the ride to the Super Bowl. It will be fun. Oh, yeah, man. I hope so. I hope you are absolutely right. Onene, I meant to say, please enjoy the ride. We are all going all the way this year. I know what you meant, brother. I know what you meant. That's okay. All right, let's take a look at some of the stuff here.
It was a stone group, my man.
Okay, hey, I went 10-6 last week. I'm 143-81 on the season. We'll look at the schedule. December 18th, 2018, on this date, the Rams waived former All-Pro or Pro Bowl return man Pharaoh Cooper. And it wasn't until was it Brandon Powell came that we got any kind of answer in the return game. And I think we have a lot of hope for Xavier Smith, but we haven't seen a whole lot this year after that great return in week 3 against the 49ers. But you know what? Xavier Smith catches the ball. Just nice to remember Pharaoh Cooper, 4th-round pick in 2016 out of South Carolina. On that date, 2018, Rams signed running back C.J. Anderson, who had been an undrafted free agent out of Cal that played with the Broncos, had a nice run with the Broncos, got a ring with the Broncos, and he was bouncing around, not doing anything in December, and the Rams signed him to a contract. And next thing you know, he ran for 299 yards in just 2 regular season games for the Rams, and he was pivotal down the stretch as Todd Gurley started fading, and he started getting more touches, and or Anderson started getting more touches. If the Rams had won Super Bowl 53, honestly, I would have been up for retiring C.J. Anderson's number because he came in and gave the Rams a huge boost. December 18th, 1949. Speaking of which, the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Rams 14-0. I believe that game was in the snow. That was the NFL championship game in 1949. Rams wouldn't get their ring or their championship till 2 years later in 1951. Since we're not on the air tomorrow, let's say happy birthday to John Johnson. Do you realize John Johnson only turns 29 tomorrow? 29. He only turns 29. Let's wish him a happy birthday. Also on December 19th, 2022, Rams released linebacker Terrell Lewis, a 3rd-round pick. Everyone had high hopes for Terrell Lewis. You ever see Terrell Lewis in a uniform? Dude had some knee injury issues, and the dude didn't have a motor. He did not have a motor. He has not played another snap in the NFL. He's bounced around. Philly had him earlier this year. He spent some offseason time in Chicago, but has not played another down. I think the Rams knew what they were doing when they moved off that draft pick. And tomorrow, December 19th, is the anniversary, the 48th anniversary of one of my most favorite NFL playoff games. Rams beat the Cowboys 14-12 on December the 19th, 1976. That game is on YouTube. One of the hardest, most physical games. Rams just came out with such attitude in that game defensively. Pat Hayden was at quarterback. Rams struggled. Rusty Jackson was getting punts blocked. Game's 14-10. Rams are backed up at their own end in the final seconds. And the most creative play that you'd ever think Chuck Knox would come up with is Rusty Jackson gets the snap. And thank goodness he didn't try to punt, because Charlie Waters, it seemed like, was blocking everything. And instead, he runs to the side of the end zone and runs out of the end zone to run out the clock and give the Cowboys a safety. And the Rams won 14-12. They lost in the next week. They lost in Minnesota next week, 24-13, in a whole other story of pain and anguish as a Ram fan growing up. But that Rams win in Dallas, 14-12, literally, 11 months after losing the 1975 NFC Championship game. That game was played in January of 76, and I was at that one. To come back and beat the Cowboys at home to get a little minuscule of revenge was a pretty sweet moment as a Ram fan. There you go. Let's see. Tim Burns. I saw a Jet stat. Saw the Jets have scored 26 points in 5 of 6 games, something like that. Hence the score 38-28. All right. I won't argue with you. Steve Ramirez, 1949 game was a downpour at the Coliseum, the original Mud Bowl. Okay. That game wasn't in Philly. Okay, thank you. That was the 48 game that was in Philly? Because there was a Stephen Bjorn game that I remember in my history there. ESG, I'd like to give a shout out to the 49ers. Bang, bang, 30-year anniversary, gang. 30 years anniversary of their last Super Bowl win. You dog. Sticking it to them. Okay, real quick here. Let's run through the list of games this week. Broncos-Chargers tomorrow night. It means nothing to me, so I can pick the Chargers. I think the Broncos are going to take a hit. Broncos are 9-5. 9-5. Wow, that's just amazing. Texans at the Chiefs. Texans are 9-5. There's talk about maybe Mahomes plays, maybe it's Carson Wentz. I just think the Chiefs are due for a loss. Somewhere the luck has to run out. Steelers 10-4. Ravens 9-5. Is George Pickens playing? I don't know if he's playing or not. Right now, I'm leaning Ravens. I reserve the right. These games, Texans, Chiefs, Steelers, Ravens, are on Saturday. I reserve the right to change my predictions if things change on Friday. Sunday, Giants at the Falcons. We're anxious to see Michael Penix. The Falcons are 7-7. Cardinals at Panthers. Could the Panthers pull something? Absolutely. Get off to a hard start, fast start, demoralize them, put Kyler Murray in a bad mood. It would be marvelous. It would be beautiful. Lions, Bears, I'm taking the Lions. Browns, Bengals, I'm taking the Bengals. Titans, Colts, I'll take the Colts. Rams at Jets, I am taking the Rams. Eagles at the Taxskins, I'm leaning Eagles. Of course, I would love to see the Taxskins give them a hard time, maybe beat them, and then just see the explosion on the Eagles sideline. Vikings at the Seahawks, of course, I'm leaning Vikings. Patriots at the Bills, going Bills. Jaguars at the Raiders. Can Desmond Ridder do it again? There's no Max Crosby. And then you got the Jaguars. You got a 3-11 team and a 2-12 team. Man, that's brutal. 49ers and the Dolphins. I'm going with the Dolphins. I honestly believe if the Dolphins lose at home to the 49ers, is somebody going to start asking questions about Mike McDaniel? Don't you think, right? Don't you at some point, don't you say, okay, well, what's going on? We've got all this uber talent there, right? And you lost a game you should have won against the Texans. What's going on right now? And if you can't beat the 49ers, what's going on here? At this point where the 49ers are at. Sunday night, Buccaneers and Cowboys should be kind of entertaining. I hope the Buccaneers kill them because we're anti-Cowboy. But the Cowboys have been playing hard. They've been playing really hard. And Monday night, Saints and Packers, and I thought I heard them talking snow, but I would take the Packers in that one. All right. I think we're good. I think we got it cleaned up. Steve Ramirez, yes, 1948 game was in Philly. Eagles 7-0 on a Van Buren run. There you go. All right. Rams, Steve Ramirez, one of the better Ram decades was 45 through 55, 5 trips to the title game, winning 2. There you go. All right. There was an excellent book out there about the 1951 Rams that Derek Ciapala, he was a contributor to it. He does Rams Talk. It's a podcast. Good dude. They do good stuff. He does that with Michael Stewart. And so he was one of the contributors to that book. You can look it up on Amazon, 1951 Los Angeles Rams, and it breaks down that season. It breaks down the scouting staff. Rams had 5 rookies on the offensive line that year. Really interesting stuff there. All right. I think we're good. I think we got everything in. We've gone 55 minutes. Guys, thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for all the positive talk. Be sure to hit like. Be sure to hit subscribe. And we're going to be back Friday at 5 to talk Ram football. God bless. Check out my books on Amazon. No Patreon account. Take care, guys.